Getting on a reputable podcast might not be as difficult as you might think. I've done it in the past a few times and it's worked. So I'm going to tell you how it can work for you. First of all, guys, my name is Chris. I'm the head game coordinator of Cashunt. Please subscribe, like, comment, but let's talk about how to get you on that podcast. First of all, you got to figure out what it is that you can provide, right? What is it that you do? Are you a travel hacker? Are you a chef with a different spin on culinary? Are you a marketing expert with something that people might not know about of a new trend and how you can explain that? It's really a wide, a variety of different things that podcasters look for, because ultimately, as you can imagine, they're trying to find, interesting people that will provide them ratings, view count, etc. But also it provides you another opportunity to really spread those wings as far as, gaining a larger audience. Once you figure out, what it is that you can provide and who you are, the key thing is going on to, a podcast platform, Apple Podcasts, Podbean, etc. And when going into those types of platforms, like those and Spotify, I was going to mention as well, look at the category that you fall in. Is it culinary? Is it marketing? Is it entertainment? Once you figure out what it is that you fall under, I want you to then go on to that particular category and look at the top 15 podcasts under that particular subject. And usually those top 15 usually has a high view count. Once you go on to each and every one of them, they will have usually a companion website. Hit that companion website. Most likely it should be in the description. If not, you can always look it up on Google and go to the top, or most likely in the bottom of that website. It will say be a guest. Click onto that. It will ask you to provide your information, name, phone number, email address, and then most importantly, what is it that you do and what can you provide this podcast and why did you decide upon us? And be very honest in regards to what you think you can provide this particular podcast, and just be very truthful, especially if you're maybe a fan of that podcast. You can say, well, I've been listening to you guys for the past 5 years, 2 years, 10 years, whatever, and I think I can provide value in regards to an episode. Now, they'll look at it, they'll research it, they might reach out back to you, and if they do, and they find that you can provide value in regards to the podcast, the interview could be in two different forms. It could be a live recorded interview with the interviewer of that particular podcast, or it could be another form where the podcast will provide you with 10 specific questions about your business and, really kind of the origin story, marketing approach, how did you get to the business, etc. And they'll take that information, and then what they will then do is provide that to the person that has the podcast. So most likely their assistant is providing that information to you. And what the podcast will do is make it into a case study where you are not having the interview with that particular person that is having the podcast and then making it into a case study. However, though, that will bring viewers or eyes onto your website or whatever, content that you provide. So there are two ways of doing it. Is it difficult? The answer to that question is no. Again, they're looking for guests. It depends on how much they run their podcast. Is it weekly? Is it daily? Is it monthly? They're looking for new content. So it's another great tool in order to getting that out there. That also, to a certain extent, also applies to YouTube channels, reputable YouTube channels, but in the form of podcasts, those two sometimes, work hand in hand in regards to that. So again, not that difficult. Another great form of marketing tool that you should be getting involved in, and you'll be surprised at what the evergreen numbers are years later. Again, I've done it a few times. Either I've done it that way, or it's kind of been a scenario where another podcast had heard the first podcast I was on, and then they called me to have another interview, which was always awesome. And that way you can take that information and then put it into your content, and again, spread the awareness out as well. So hopefully, guys, that was informative. and enjoyable. And with that being said, as always, like I said at the beginning, subscribe, like, and comment. And for more information about marketing tips, creative ideas, things that we're known for that we've implemented in our business now for well over 25 years, feel free and click one of these boxes that will float right here. And other than that, have a great day. And as I always say, let's play.